Hi, and welcome to today's podcast. We're going to talk about animal protection today. And today we have invited an organization called WildlifeDirect. Now, this organization was founded about 15 years ago, back in 2004. And the organization has created major campaigns in Kenya and to raise the awareness of endangered animals in society, kind of like lions and elephants. And some of these campaigns has been quite successful, even so successful that the First Lady of Kenya has started to support the work that they're doing. And today we have our guest, who is Mary Morrison, and she's the current legal affairs manager at WildlifeDirect. So I want to say welcome, Mary. How are you today? And did I pronounce your name the right way?
You tried. It's Muthoni.
Muthoni.
But yes, the TH is deeper. But you did a good job.
Thank you. A for an effort. How is your energy today?
How is, pardon?
Your energy level today?
At the peak, I just had a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
yes, but it's been quite a wholesome day. We have just been in and out of strategy meetings. Yes.
So this is the end of your work day, the last thing you're going to do today?
Yes, this is the last thing that I'm doing today.
Thank you for taking part. Now, if you would explain like WildlifeDirect, the organization, to someone who has not heard about the work that you're doing, how would you explain what you're doing?
WildlifeDirect is one of the organizations that is actually hands-on in changing hearts, minds, and laws in regards in protecting wildlife, Africa's wildlife species. In regards to changing the hearts, minds, and laws, and it is achieved in different departments, which include education, legal, and community departments. So WildlifeDirect has been influential in protection of wildlife species in Kenya, that we even created the Hands of Our Elephants campaign, to which it came at a time where there was a very big poaching crisis in regards to we did not have proper and harsher penalties to protect the species. So the campaign...
Could you summarize that again? So you were saying, what was the last thing you said there about it was hardship to protect the...
So we had a poaching crisis in between the period of 2008 and 2013. And as WildlifeDirect, we sat down and realized what is the best way to actually know that these elephants are being poached and no one is being held accountable for it. Thus, we had the Hands of Our Elephants campaign that brought up the Eyes in the Courtroom project, to which we advocated for wildlife penalties being harsher, and advocating for capacity building, advocating for reform in law, and it also led to the ivory ban, the largest ivory ban conducted by the government during our term. So that has been one of our major works. Now, from Hands of Our Elephant, we are able to diverge it into include education and creation of a generation of young wildlife warriors through our education department. And at the same time, we were also able to include communities that also have been living with wildlife. Now, from this one campaign, we were able to diversify our efforts, but still continue with our efforts, with our activities in protecting wildlife. It started with elephants, but it has diverged to include rhino horn pangolins, birds, exotic birds, reptiles, cheetahs, bushmeat trade, which is becoming an issue right now. And from there, we could also see improvement of the policies and legislations that have been there in regards to protection of wildlife in Kenya.
Could I take the time to kind of summarize to see if I could follow here the whole... So basically, basically what you're saying is you're working a lot hands-on. So you would have people out in the field, and a part of that would be education for like advocating for the animals' rights
Conservation education.
and also helping to reinforce the laws so the laws would protect the animals. And you started back with elephants. That was a big you saw a big need with elephants, and now it's increased to all kinds of animal protection.
Yes.
And doing that kind of advocacy for governments and trying to change the laws, that seems like something quite hard to do. But you said you have seen improvements in the laws for animals in Kenya.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting to. How would you do that? How would the process go? What is it that what does it mean to be hands-on with the reinforcing the laws?
So through under our Eyes in the Courtroom project, we go to courts in Kenya and we collect all the wildlife crime cases. After collecting the wildlife crime cases, we analyze them and monitor them, through which they show us the various gaps that are there that need to be addressed. And through this program, we were able to see that there was also legislative and policy gaps. And from this evidence, so our Eyes in the Courtroom was an evidence-driven mechanism to show that the government, look, this is the data that we collected. This is the evidence that shows that how you charge wildlife crimes, how you look at wildlife offenses is not as serious as it's being taken into account. And yet the census is reporting, the census conducted on elephants is reporting that there is a high decline. So what is the problem? Is it the law? Is it the case trial process? Is it all the prosecution and the judicial processes that are happening? And one of the things that came out was we did not have a proper law in regards to punishing wildlife offenders. With the evidence that we collected from the court cases showing that this law is not as harsh, we were able to advocate it, to lobby it in Parliament, of course, with support with, of course, First Lady in the beginning in regards to advocate to change the law. There was need to have the first law, and we were able to actively get to lobby for a better law, which came into effect in 2014. And through this entire process in 2014, 2015, we have seen significant behavioral change in regards to the seriousness of wildlife crime. And through Eyes in the Courtroom project, we are able to show that this is what is happening on the ground. This is how people are viewing wildlife crime. This is how is it creating a deterrent effect, and what are the challenges that the judicial system is having with particular sections of the law. Then from this challenge, from whatever analysis that we get, we make recommendations to the government, and we highly involve government institution in regards to even carrying out the entire Eyes in the Courtroom program, to which mostly we are affiliated with the prosecuting agencies and the judicial agencies, and such that even they're with us whenever we are collecting the evidence, so they can understand the need of, we need a harsher penalty in this, we need to amend particular sections of the law. They can easily understand what needs to be done, whether in regards to amending the law or formulating a new law, or in addition to just also build capacity of any department that needs to be built capacity in.
So basically the tough job here, the first 10 years from 2004 to 2014, you built up the influential power to actually get to have a vote. And now from that advocacy, you've been able to impact the laws, which now you're saying that you can actually see a change in behavior, which is helping the animals. So that would be one way that this of the work that you already been doing. So
Yes.
looking forward here, what would be what would the organization focus on in the future? What is
One thing we have realized is while we are changing the behavioral aspect of it, as much as we focused on wildlife crime, we had to also focus on preventing it and also building a generation of young people who would actually understand the importance of wildlife. So to prevent wildlife crime, all these departments came in. We have the education department that deals directly with school-going children, which has we deal mostly with public schools. We have currently gone to 35 schools, which are in different parts of the country. Some of them in one of harsher places in Kenya, northern Kenya, and we've been able to reach over 2,548 school kids. So we hope to reach over 100 schools, and that will take us to over like 8,000 to 10,000 school children. The school children, we create programs for them, wildlife programs, which include advocating for them to create wildlife clubs in their schools, to which they do various conservation activities, which includes the tree planting you saw in the whiteboard I had.
right? Yeah.
So
Let me set. So before we start the interview, you showed me the different goals you have, and this year you were gonna, or the goal would be to plant how many trees? That's also an activity
70,000.
Okay, so you're aiming to plant 70,000 trees as an other activity to, yeah.
Yes. So through these children, it started off by taking children to the park to just show them that there is a relevance of understanding wildlife and of loving wildlife, because these are the same people who we do not want later to grow up committing wildlife crime offenses. So from directly dealing with offenders and advocating for justice for wildlife, we wanted to go back a step further and see what kind of what are the social backgrounds of these offenders. What if we just change the entire behavioral aspects, notion of the importance of wildlife from an early age? And that is when we started the Wildlife Warriors and building a generation at such a young age so that they grow up fully conscious of the importance of wildlife. And that is done through education. At the same time, we also started a series called Wildlife Warriors with Paula Kahumbu, our CEO. And the Wildlife Warriors series, which is in TV which airs on Citizen TV, showcases specific episodes on a particular wildlife species and what's its problems and what we need to do about it. But the good thing about it is it focuses on the local hero, the local person on the ground who is actually doing conservation. This also works as a way of creating awareness to the local people on the ground and actually outstanding them on the work that they have put in regards to conservation. Example, conservation of turtles, which we would see if such a person might even just opt to just kill the turtle and take it for its oil or meat instead. So through such programs, we are able to change even the behavioral aspect of it, and also looking forward to building capacity of the public, not necessarily judicial officers or looking at the case trial system, but also involving the public in understanding what wildlife protection is.
Right, I feel a need to summarize here to see if I got all of this. So basically, I identify four of the different activities or campaigns that you've been doing. So one would be to advocate for more strict laws, which would already something you've seen the effect of in change of behavior. Then you talked about educating kids, children, to prevent future behavior. Planting trees will be one activity, and then also you started a TV program to. You're saying that would also be a change in behavior because people get a closer relationship, or
and you know, one of the things is wildlife protection and conservation has been continually been seen as a preserve only for foreigners, not as a person on the ground. Like the local person on the grounds does not see the benefits, can only see wildlife as, you know, something that only a foreigner would actually, you know, want to protect. So we wanted to reach it out and make it so African and so Kenyan, and celebrating just our local heroes that are on the ground in regards to protecting species, not necessarily that are being poached, but also species that are affected by, you know, we have environmental degradation, we have climate change, we have pollution and the seas. So talking about key species, so we've already done season 1 of it, and it's actually also on YouTube. And we are hoping to do season 2 of it. Yes, and also season 2 might also focus more on the aspects of wildlife crime, because for wildlife crime, to just expound on the first activity you said, under eyes in the courtroom, the actual going to court, the actual seeing how you follow up on cases can be quite tiresome, of course, with challenges. We go to remote areas like Mandera, areas that you have to access via boat, areas that, you know, the location itself is not as secure. But from this, we are able to even bring key stakeholders in regards to making any kind of change, and we're able to get their feedback on, you know, what does it, we might know what we need changed, but from even the relationships we have cultivated, we are able to know what is actually on the ground. When a magistrate convicts an offender, that the people on the ground who know why was this person selling ivory, they're the person who knows, they're the ones who knows why is this happening at this, you know, at this rate, at this area. Why are people taking a lot of bushmeat? It might be because it's drought and people have to eat, you know. So some of this, let's say, views, we collect them from the various relationships that we cultivate whenever we go to all courts. So far we have reached 125 courts in Kenya. It's quite a very, what can I say, it's quite a lot of data at a short time of amount, and trying to also engage everyone in regards to that. But you could actually see the effect that it has on a later on, because you could, yeah.
Right. So I'm interrupting because we're starting to get quite towards the end, and I would like to also hear here. So what you were saying there, to summarize, are you saying that you have collected data on 125 studies where you can identify why the problem arises? Is that what you were referring to?
We have collected data in 125 courts.
Courts, okay.
Yes, criminal courts in Kenya.
And why they were doing what they were doing, why they were doing criminal offense.
From the data, we are able to know the number of people that have been charged with wildlife offenses, the number of people that have been convicted. And the good thing is right now we have improved our conviction rate to a 95%.
So say that again. You have improved your, what was that?
Convictions.
Convictions.
Where people are found guilty.
Before they were not found guilty, but now the 95% would be found guilty.
Yes, would be found guilty. We have a 95% where if you are found with committing any wildlife offense, there's a very high chance that you'll be taken to court and convicted for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if people want to support your organization, what is it? What are you looking for kind of support?
The support we are looking for, of course, is in regards to funding.
Yeah.
For each kind of support, it will for legal. Let me go by departments. For legal, this will support our in our course in reaching all these 121 courts. We are able to do this once, to go to only court once in a year. So with the increasing challenges of deforestation and environmental degradation, we are seeing a rise of wildlife crime, and we'd also want to document that as much as we can. And we'd also need to increase our capacity in regards to reaching all corners of Kenya and documenting wildlife crime. This will also tell us, this will also give us like a true picture of what is currently happening, at least after every 4 months, quarterly, a person would know, yeah, like this is what needs to be done.
Could you kind of give is there a number for if someone would donate $100? Could you give some kind of direction to what that would lead
so
to? What effect?
in support of our court monitoring project in regards to going to court, we actually need from $50 to $200 to go to a court, and to $50 to $200 to go to a court, depending on where the court is. Such amount of money would assist us to be able to reach as many courts as we can, and to go to the courts at least twice as much as we can, to be able to collect our data, and to also efficiently track wildlife cases that usually happen on a weekly basis in court. So
for $50 to $200, something like that, people would support like already the effect that the reinforcement of league of the laws have been doing with the behavior. That would cost around $50 to $200 to do those kind of visits, so you could collect more data and then reinforce the laws.
It will, I would say, it will help us collect more data, but at the same time, it will also give us a proper view or proper trends to be able to distinguish what happens actually in a year of wildlife crime in Kenya. You can easily know and set what kind of activities that needs to be done in a year. So if it is every activity that is done after will lead to either capacity building or policy reform, to which we lobbying for policy reform, to which we actively go to parliamentary sessions with the recommendations. So such an amount will assist us in getting all the necessary information at a faster rate, and it will enable us to create solutions at a faster rate.
Thank you. That's very helpful to know. People are, I'm guessing, wondering whenever people are generous to do fund and donate. That's really helpful to understand how their contribution matters. Now, if you would, sorry, you go.
Even the smallest contribution really assists in regards to enable us to even sit down and go to the nearest courts and be able to track a case from hearing to hearing. And when you track a case from hearing to hearing, that means it's concluded at a faster rate compared to when it takes time for you to go to court and finish with it. So I wanted to also touch on the education department.
Right. So what funding you would need for the education? Is that what you're saying?
So education department, as I said, you want to plant trees.
Yeah.
Apart from planting trees, the kind of support we'd want would be in regards to, of course, we want to expand our education, enriching 100 schools in 2020. That means we'll reach about 8,000 to 10,000 school-going children, all in public schools. So a donation of $100 will be able to take a kid to a park, will be able to take a kid to the expeditions that we usually plan within every year. Yeah, so it will be able to give us the capacity to expand it and also include more children.
Right. So see if I got that right. You said $100 would be enough to. You said an expedition. What
$100
would an expedition mean in this case?
an
So one kid
expedition.
could. Right. So you go. Yes.
An expedition means where we usually do we take them to a research center, and we mix children from different backgrounds, different people, students from the coastal area, students from Western Kenya who have different views on what wildlife is, are brought together to actually learn about wildlife at this research center in regards to also documenting. One upcoming one is coming next year in January.
Yeah.
Where we are taking kids to the park, to the research center to do a census for giraffes and zebras.
What's the census?
Census is calculating the population for giraffes, and we are calculating the populations for zebra.
That seems like an interesting thing for a kid to get to do, right?
Yes, and they get to learn. So at least $100 will enable 2 to 3 kids to be able to attend and fully participate in such activities.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's also very helpful to understand the amount. Now, if you would, I would like to end this with: is there anything that most people wouldn't know about your like animal protection in Kenya or in the world as a whole that you think would really help if people understood?
It would really help if people understood the symbiotic relationship habitats play in protection, in animal welfare and protection. The symbiotic relationship in regards to environmental development, infrastructure, or committing wildlife crime offenses, or things that are not sustainable in protection of animals or wildlife in their habitats, or the ones that are not even in the habitats. These beings are so crucial in our ecosystems, in that, for example, if we lost the bees, we'd already gone extinct as human beings. So I would love for people to appreciate and fully understand the symbiotic relationship that ties together in protection of the animals and their habitats and their protection, and also sustainable living, and in regards to any human activities that are being conducted everywhere in the world. As you can see, we are grappling with issues of climate change, we are grappling with issues of environmental degradation, and it goes beyond wildlife crime, wildlife protection. It goes beyond that. We also have to think about the habitats that they are nested in, and what kind of activities that we should be doing, or we shouldn't be doing to disrupt the symbiotic relationship. So as WildlifeDirect, we try to achieve that, to ensure that the species endure, to ensure that there is of course less environmental degradation, and that the habitats that wildlife live in are secure, and that also to minimize any issues of human wildlife conflict that may lead to further people retaliating or people killing animals just for the sake of killing animals, or even which will now play a part in wildlife crime. Yeah.